Guten Tag. Here is Shelley, and this is Freiburg, Germany, on the afternoon of October 6th. Ahead of you is the Münster Cathedral, Freiburg's main cultural attraction. Just beyond that is St. Johanneskirche.
The cathedral just goes up and up, doesn't it? Fantastic. What's it, Bekla? Beshla. Okay.
Oh, that's plural.
Oh, okay. It's a Beshlum. Well, when Erasmus was kicked out of Switzerland, they sent him here and he built this thing. Well, actually, this is a reconstruction of it, but it's a really pretty cool house. I would live there. Okay. And Erasmus was when?
1469, 1536.
Oh, okay. 1469 to 1536. Okay, so this is like old, or would have been. Thank you, World War II. And let's see, what house is that down there? Is that just
It's
a pretty
a
one?
bank.
That's a
Part of
bank.
the house of bank.
That's neat. A bank. The locals say if you fall in one of these, you gotta marry a local. This is Marvinstor, a like medieval or something gate. Now a McDonald's sign. Cool. There's another one called Schwabentor, is that right?
Yeah.
Schwabentor in the southeast of town. Without the... Here we see the view out Shelley's window. This is the Black Forest. Freiburg is well known as the best city for entering into the Black Forest. It seems the city's sort of surrounded. Hello there, it's October 8th and we're now looking at the Neuschwanstein Castle in Bavaria. That's right, the most famous castle in the world, modeled by Walt Disney for the theme parks. And we'll be taking a quick look at the front, but this is the side view. This is a view from the front of the castle at last, looking out over Bavaria. This guy had a real taste for beauty. And this is the facade. This is only a piece of it, remember. There are towers above this that we can't see from this angle. We've entered the main courtyard, and we're looking at, not facade, but just darn big towers. Nice Romanesque arches, staircases, everything. All set against the mountain. Here's the back side of the facade. Willkommen to Nymphenburg Castle, built in 1663 by some unknown king, we're not really sure who, but Ludwig. This was Ludwig the First or second?
Make it the first.
Okay, Ludwig the First. This is a Californian tourist I found. Yay! Hey there. Okay, and
Yeah, it's the first.
it's the first. Cool. All right. Anyway, they seem to have drained the lake, so it doesn't look quite so pretty. But anyway, this is still Munich. Or rather, this is Munich now. We're not at Neuschwanstein any longer. Now before you are the most famous sites in Munich. This is the new townhouse, invented by the same guy who created Neuschwanstein Castle. It replaced the old townhouse, which is located right over here, and dates from medieval times. Once again, these are partial restorations, if not complete. In front of us is the gilded statue of Mary, which gives this place its name. It's called Marienplatz. And behind it is the Church of Our Lady with its twin onion-mugged domes, which people claim look like beer mugs, thus the appropriateness to this town. And what do everyday Munichers look like? Like this. Except they don't call it Munich, they call it München. Still again, it's the 11th of October and we're now standing in the most heavily touristed spot in Prague of the Czech Republic. And over here we see the Church of Our Lady of Tyr. It is a massively evil-looking thing, I think, but the facade is hidden by these little Baroque buildings in the foreground that help make this place look cutesy, I guess. But this church is actually beautiful. Those are twin spires of, I believe, 80 meters in height. And this was once a very important church in forming certain Protestant sects, I believe. And over here we have a sculpture of Jan Hus, something like that. That was a Protestant reformer, and I believe was burned at the stake here. Up ahead, there on the sidewalk, there are the graves of 21 men who fought against the communists and were murdered here in this square. And this is the premier tourist draw of the town, the astrological clock. It shows the signs of the zodiac, sun setting, sun rising, all sorts of stuff. And on the hour, that little skeleton right there will pull that string ringing a bell, and the apostles will parade through the upper two windows. This is part of the town hall in Prague. This is one of the oldest preserved Gothic houses in Prague. And as we sweep around, we see more Baroque buildings. The Baroque facades were added later. This is a palace that was once used in town. And in addition, there's a castle and another cathedral overlooking the hill. So this is the square, and you will not find any more American tourists than right here. You might notice some of the fog in the air. That is a result of the severe pollution problems of this city. These are the graves of the men who fought the communists. Hello, it's October 12th, and we are standing in the Cathedral of St. Vít, built in 1384, standing in Prague, the Czech Republic. This church was originally built in the 10th century and was rebuilt in Gothic style by King Charles in 1384. 1348. 1348, that's right. Okay. And the whole church is quite gorgeous. I believe good King Wenceslas is buried here. This is the rose window. This is one of the side windows. And this is the altar with the front windows. This cathedral, incidentally, is built inside the fortress, the Prague Castle on top of the hill. Finally, this is the facade. Along with my friend Pavlina. And this is looking at the opposite end. Complete with sun. All of this, remember, is inside the castle. This is the view of Prague from the top of the hill. Looking out over the Vltava River, looking at various cathedrals, and looking at, of course, the smog. Hello, it's October 13th. And after a very long hike and a funicular ride, we are at the top of an observation tower overlooking Praha. And this is the castle and the cathedral that are the trademark of the city. And they overlook the city, so you can get an idea of how high we are. That is the Vltava River, which flows into what becomes the Elbe in Germany. The Charles Bridge right there, where the royal route used to go, up to the castle anyway, from further on down in Old Praha. Over here we can see the old square. I believe the royal processions used to go through there too. This is the horde of tourists on the Charles Bridge. Here's the National Theatre. This is the view straight down from the tower. And as you can see from our shadow, it's quite tall, and I had to walk the whole thing. And now, a panorama sweep of the town. Starting at the castle, sweeping over to the Vltava, Charles Bridge, various spires, ornaments, towers, things like that. And finally, up into the industrial sectors of town. This does not include the things behind us. It's a beautiful city, except for the smog. I ran into this guy while I was out exploring. And then I ran into this guy. And then this guy. And then this guy. And this guy. And the next thing I knew, they were all around. Hello.
Hi.
This is a maze of mirrors inside an old church, designed to house a painting, well, kind of a diorama sort of thing, of the Swedes being fought off by the Czechs during some war across the Charles Bridge. And here it is. That bridge has seen some action, but nothing like the tourists, I'm sure. Focus on this. But I mentioned I've gotten taller during my journey. Sorry, it was just a pavilion, not a church. It was built for some fair, and I think they moved it here. I read that somewhere inside, but I didn't read it very closely. It's now the 17th of October, and we're standing in Krakow, Poland. Up there is the leading cathedral of Krakow. And this is a shopping area that's been around for literally centuries. You might notice it's bitterly cold. It was raining a bit earlier. This is the Planty. It used to be city walls, but in the middle of the 19th century they tore it down and made a park. And finally we have festive poles. For any who doubted it, there really is a bona fide castle here. This is Wawel Castle. This is the cathedral built inside the castle. And I'll show you the battlements here in just a second. I snuck in here with the French tour group. And these appear to be either ruins or parts of a garden. I would say ruins. Okay, so let's go look at the battlements. As we exit the castle, we see a familiar face. That's George Washington. A statue of him built with funds received from Polish immigrants to the United States. And this is a view along the front. We're standing on the ramps leading up to the castle right now. As you can see, it's got quite a foreboding wall, as well as a gate with portcullis. And here's another wall. Considering with the street. Welcome to Budapest. It's the 22nd of October, and that's the Danube River down there. Here we can see what I think is the most beautiful building in Europe, the Parliament. And there's the rest of the city over here. We're standing on the battlements of a hill upon which you'll find the palatial residence of previous kings. And my two German friends who are running viciously from the camera. And in any case, here we are.
You have to take that whole road sitting in the sun there. I don't want to know about it.
It's now the 25th of October, and we're standing in Schloss Schönbrunn in Vienna, Austria. And Wouldn't it be nice to live there? Only 1,441 rooms. Just take your pick. And check out these sculptured gardens. This man had some serious taste. And this is my pal Kelvin.
Well,
There you are. Hello. Hi, it's the same day and we're now looking at St. Stephen's Cathedral Thingamabobber in the old part of Vienna, along with the hordes of tourists, a McDonald's bastion over there, and, as Kelvin pointed out, the Marks and Sparks. Alright, next stop, Mozart. Here we are at Figaro House. This is where Mozart wrote that's right, Marriage of Figaro. Some say he spent the happiest years of his life in this house. Although when looking at it's a beautiful October 27th and we're in Venice, Italy. We're looking at some churches across the lagoon from St. Mark's Square and of course, your favorite gondolas. This is an island, the church over there sitting on an island all by itself. And that's another island. There's another island. And this is the main collection of islands. Venice is built on not one island, but rather a collection of several thousand. And one big cluster of them is where most of the buildings can be found. For example, this is the Doge Palace. This has been around for many years. It was once the seat of power for the bulwark of Christianity versus the Islams. And it's been going through some restoration, I believe. So anyway, this has been used as an execution chamber, a torturing place, the Supreme Court, and yet it's the Doge residence as well, so it's quite busy. And that sits facing St. Mark's Square. And so we go to St. Mark's Square. Napoleon called this the most beautiful drawing room in all of Europe and commissioned at the far end there be built. The other parts date from previous centuries, I don't even know which. This is the Orlog. On the hour, these men swing their mallets and ring the bells. And there's a procession of characters somewhere, I'm not sure quite where. This is St. Mark's Basilica, the purported resting place of St. Mark's remains. It's quite a holy church, I believe, but the architecture is just otherworldly. There's a huge mosaic on the ceiling of practically every saint, apostle, or disciple to exist, and it's quite beautiful. And this is a fantastic day to see it too. Here's a longer shot of the Doge Palace, as well as the bell tower. This tower is actually a replica of one that collapsed suddenly in 1911 or so, without warning. At the top of the tower, they once hung impious priests in cages to die or to suffer horribly on bread and water as punishment for, quote, impious acts. There are always people scalping you for money, and there are lots and lots and lots of these darn little pigeons. But Venice is more than just a few monuments. It's atmosphere. Let's go for a walk. Incidentally, these horses are famous. There's some ambience for you. But wait, this is not what people think of when they think Venice. It's people walking. Well, what else can they do? There are no cars anywhere on the islands. And the gondolas, I'll show you in just a second. That's more like it. Well, not quite the gondola. But over here, we have the real thing. I think they're kept like this because tourists expect to find out. There are also boats like that. All floating merrily on their way. Many streets fall in this category. It's October 29th, 2 days before Halloween, of course. And we're in Naples. No, just kidding. This is Rome, of course. And this is the Colosseum we're standing in right now. All those days you ever wanted to go to Rome and see it, well, here it is. Well, I'm very lucky. Yesterday I ran into a robber in Naples and he took my scarf and hat and even my book about Pompeii, but he did not take my video camera. So, we continue to roll. This is Colosseum, I believe built in around 80 AD. A bunch of animals and people have died here. As you can see, the floor has dropped out. And all around us is Rome. Let's have a look at some of the sights here. Here's a more open perspective on the Colosseum and the tourists that you find even at the end of October. There's the open side. It even looks like it's supposed to from the outside. We've got Romanesque arches, we've got Romans, little plaques in Latin, and over here we have what I believe is like the Forum. The Forum's like down in some valley over there, so we can't actually see it. Over there might be the Arch of Constantine. We'll take out photos and have a better look. In the year 312, Constantine had this arch built immediately after having conquered in a battle. And just precedent to the battle, he'd seen a vision in which he saw a cross in the heavens, and he heard God say, "In this sign thou shalt conquer." So, this arch and the battle it represents point to a major event in Christian history when Christianity was first tolerated in the Roman Empire. This is various and sundry Roman stuff found in the Roman Forum. I believe the Forum itself, the governmental area, is up there. There are some other big ruins as well. An arch. The one-time center of the then-known world. Right before you. You know, it's interesting, but this place is just littered with ruins, actually. If I turn the camera around behind me, like that, you can see even more of them. Along with, of course, modern Rome. We're now near the Imperial Forum, and we're looking at what used to be a great square near the governmental part. Plenty of ruins here to see. Senatus Populus Romanus. That's the thing. If you were a Roman Senate, this would be the place you'd meet. Looking underneath the arch that we were just looking at from the other side. I just bought an Italian leather belt. That's pretty cool. This was the Forum of Caesar. We're at a monument honoring Victor Emmanuel II, the first king of unified Italy. And this whole thing is for him, designed by Michelangelo. And in the center is the ceremonial town hall of Rome, founded over the tabularium where the records of the ancient Senate were kept. Here's another shot from a slightly different perspective. Photos described this as a very old church. My mistake. This square was the one designed by Michelangelo, with that building being built upon the ancient records of Rome, and these two being palaces that now hold museums. It's Sunday, October 30th, and I'm standing in the biggest church in the world.
Next to Anna Marie Pratt and Cindy Mark.
Next to Anna Marie Pratt and Cindy Mark. That's right, St. Peter's Basilica. Hi, Cindy. And down there, somewhere, is the Pope. Is he back here? 12-to-1 power, and we're standing in the dome designed by Michelangelo. This is huge.
Hi. We don't normally look this bad. Does the cupola, what is the word? Whatever.
Wow, this is huge. This is way, way big. We're now at the top of the dome, and that's Capitoline Hill, viewed from the top of St. Peter's Basilica. And back here should be the Roman Forum, as well as the Colosseum. I'm having problems seeing anything from this far. And before lies all of Rome. Down here is the entranceway to the building we're now in, St. Peter's Basilica. Below us is the main area. And out here lies all of Rome. So we're seeing two countries here. We've got the Vatican and Italy. Another hill over there.
Yeah.
Beautiful view from out here. These are monuments. I can't remember the name of them right now, but they're monuments just the same. Wow, what a view. There's some buildings by Michelangelo over there.
Yeah.
Wow. Just tremendous.
No. Guarda, io guardo di là.
Hi there, it's Halloween night and we're standing in front of the Trevi Fountain with my three new friends.
Hi!
Isabel, Philippe, and Philippe. And the fountain is right behind us. So let's have a quick pan around. There it is, one of the most impressive sights. The what? Okay, the Fontana di Trevi. Go ahead and say it.
What?
Say it again.
Fontana di Trevi.
Oh, that was great. Okay, so this is the Fontana di Trevi, and anyone who wants to return to Rome is supposed to throw a coin in. And I've been told that if you throw 2 coins in, you're guaranteed to fall in love. So I threw in 2. And so anyway, there's the fountain. Isn't that gorgeous? And I have no idea how old this is. How old is this?
It's from 1735.
1735? That's an old fountain. And here I am.
Yeah, now you can speak now.
Oh, I can speak now. So we're still at the Fountain of Trevi.
This it, David, you know.
Oh, I'll speak. Okay, well, this is the Fountain of Trevi, and it's still Halloween night.
And you're very tired.
I'm dead tired,
Yeah, you work for 5 minutes or more.
at least.
Yeah.
And I'm exhausted, and my feet are about to explode. But other than that,
But you saw everything in Rome.
I saw everything.
Uh-huh.
Everything
Yeah.
in Rome. Yep.
Okay.
Welcome to Renaissance Italy. It's now November 2nd, and we're in Florence. This is the Gothic facade, not Baroque, Gothic facade of the church in Florence. They call it the Duomo, which is just their word for cathedral. But many famous Renaissance people have worked on this building, as well as this building, which is the church's baptistry. Florentines have been baptized in this building since the 11th century, so it's quite old. And over here, facing the cathedral, there are some doors that were dubbed the Gates of Paradise by Michelangelo. And over here is the bell tower of the church. Yes, the Florentines go for that really decorated, elaborate look, although the inside of this cathedral is actually quite sparse. One of this cathedral's claims to fame is that it is one of the longest in the world. St. Peter's, of course, being the largest. And so it's quite long. Although, like I said, it's quite plain inside. Hi, it's now the afternoon, and I've spent the afternoon over in a wonderful science museum looking at the instruments of people like Galileo. I also visited his tomb in an ancient church. And now we're looking at a copy, that's not the original, of David. The original is in a museum in this very same city, but it's quite expensive to get in. And as the copy is quite as remarkable as the original. Look at those feet, huh? Anyway, this is the Palazzo Vecchio, which is, I guess, one of the ruling families of this city. And it dates from a while back, I'm not even sure when. Or here's another famous statue, probably another copy actually. But I believe that this fountain is an original of Neptune. These two towers in the background I've not yet been able to identify, but they're pretty and they're part of the skyline here. And finally, over to the right is the Uffizi Museum, which is famous for... That's fine, don't worry. Which is reported to have a whole bunch of really beautiful artworks, but once again it's so ridiculously expensive that I have not deigned to go in. One more time, here's Neptune, different angle, and our pal Dave from the side. This square also has other works of art in this structure to the side. And there's a flourishing market right down the alley there. And you get kind of an idea of what Florence looks like, huh? It's now the 3rd of November, and we are still in Florence looking at tombs in a certain church. This is the tomb of Galileo, and I saw his middle finger cut from his body in the History of Science Museum yesterday. But this is where the rest of him is. Pretty neat, huh? Next up, we'll go to Michelangelo's tomb. This is where Michelangelo, yes, the guy who made David, the Sistine Chapel, all kinds of other crap. This is where he's buried. Kind of sad, but it's in the same church right across from Galileo. Pretty fantastic, if you ask me. This place is wonderful. I haven't been able to decide if this is Dante of the Inferno, but it's a pretty monumental kind of tomb, so maybe it is. There's a huge statue of this man outside as well. This is the tomb of Machiavelli, a man who shaped government by his book, The Prince, also buried in the same church. If we look down the side, you get an idea of what the collection of tombs here looks like. This superstructure is designed to study a way to rebuild the ceiling, which is kind of old at this time. And if we look up into the front, I think that might be called the apse, you get to see some nice stained glass. One final stained glass. Hello again. Still November 3rd, and now we're looking at a view of Florence from above. Here we see the Duomo with its bell tower, and down here we see the edge of the baptistry. Here's the tower of the Vecchi Palazzo, and then down here the Uffizi Gallery. Right near that is the Vecchi Bridge. We can't see that. believe this church is the one right by the train station. It's a very beautiful one. And San Lorenzo's here. And this is the church where all of the great people of, like Machiavelli and Galileo and all those were buried. So let's do one big panoramic sweep. Hi, it's that night and we're in Pisa, where you can see your very own Leaning Tower. Yes, we only had to walk 25 minutes through some drizzle to get here. And we're learning that the train to France tonight might really suck. We might have to buy couchettes. But that's okay, because we're looking at the Leaning Tower. Okay, and next to it, the Duomo, where Galileo probably thought for the first time that, wait, pendulums make about the same time for each sweep of the pendulum, right? So, thus we have pendulum clocks, thus we have much of our modern chronometers. So, here you go, two wonders at once, the Leaning Tower and Galileo's pendulum discovery. Hello, it's November the 4th, and these are Alpine foothills, and we're sitting inside a typical train car, and while I had the opportunity with an empty train car, I thought I would present to you what it looks like. Alright, we've got your standard bench seat with flip-up armrests. This is second-class cabins, compartments, of course. And this is a French second class, and actually a pretty old one at that, so it doesn't have the little tables. Usually there's a little flip-out table here and here. Here we have your standard lift top trash can kind of thing. Here we have the vents, which are incapable of giving you the kind of heat which you might select up on the control panel there. Oh, we're out of focus. Okay, so on the other side of the cabin you have an identical arrangement with luggage rack above. It's the same on both sides. And oops, there we are, huh? Okay, so let's have a look at more Alpine foothills. This morning we went to Bourg Saint-Maurice, which we thought would have all sorts of pretty Alps, and granted there were Alpine things around, but really there was nothing to do in town, so we left. So there you go, Alpine foothills, eat your heart out. It's November 7th and we're in Barcelona, and this is one fantastic church. This was designed by Gaudi in the early 20th century or late 19th, and he was dead when it was finished, but the citizens of the city liked it so much that they buried him in the crypt here. This is one heck of a church, and just look at this sculpture on the front. It's like cubism of the gospel. Pretty weird and wild stuff. Oh, tourist. The trail. All of these fantastic scenes. And I don't know if the architect wanted this, but we seem to have some sort of neon sign effect with some of our favorite church words, and not to mention a busy street. So let's see if we can get a better shot of this. Honestly, this church would have seemed a lot stranger if Gaudi and his friends had not filled the city of Barcelona with all sorts of exotic architecture. As I said, this place is not finished. Well, at least it wasn't finished when he died. I guess they haven't gone ahead to finish it. But now it's a museum of Gaudi instead of a church, apparently. So they do not, they don't let you in without paying. So we won't be seeing the inside today. And that was my book. Dropping to the November 9th. The Côte d'Azur at Nice. Unfortunately, it's not so sunny this late, but the beautiful sound is still here. Whoa! Hello. Ah! I'm soaked. Yikes! It's really much drier up here. We're standing on a tower which was the original Nice. This castle was built in the 4th century and used to house the entire city. After several centuries and further fortifications, the city expanded out into that quarter, and then from there became the resort town of all the world. So anyway, there's the Mediterranean Sea and Greater Nice. It's November 10th, 1994, and I don't think we're in Nice anymore, Toto. That's the Eiffel Tower, of course, so we're in Paris. Below is the Seine River, and we're standing on top of the Notre Dame South Tower. As we pan over to the right, we can see all kinds of old stuff here. Let's see, if we zoom back here, we'll be able to see the top of L'Arc de Triomphe, the largest monumental arch in the world. Whoa! The shaking wire. The Louvre Museum is over here.
So you can't come up from the other side.
And Sacré-Cœur is up on a hill.
That's where she's the password. I was falling
dear.
down the steps to
Hard
see
to
if you
focus.
were there.
So, Paris is all before us. And this is the part of Notre Dame you never see. Down here we've got some gargoyle action going. We've got some Seine, sorry. We've got some trees, and I think a photo from that end might be a good idea. Over here is supposed to be the world's most fantastic ice cream on the Ile Saint-Louis. And here's the other side of Paris. As if there were any doubt, this is the Louvre. Yes, that famous museum where you can find the Mona Lisa, the Winged Victory, and all sorts of other cool stuff. Looking down the Champs-Élysées there, we've got a nice triumphal arch. We couldn't possibly come to the Louvre without seeing the Mona Lisa, so here it is, the Mona Lisa. And the minuscule crowd taking flash photographs in total disregard for that little sign right there. So there you have it, the Mona Lisa. Sure enough, this is the Louvre. Let's go do the tourist track. In all honesty, I was more moved by the victory of Samothrace. You have a look at, I mean, I guess it's supposed to be what the Winged Victory, something like that. But if you look at it, check out this base. Even the base of the statue is dramatic. So there it is. Another one of those things you're really supposed to see when you go to the Louvre. Down there at really high zoom you can find Michelangelo's slaves. But then again, we were just in Italy, and I mean, they were okay, right? This is a big mama gallery. I already visited the medieval foundations downstairs. Honestly, the ceiling is very interesting here. But this is just part of the museum, this is not an exhibit. There's the Venus de Milo, one of those other things you're supposed to see while you're in the Louvre. And another thing people are using flashes on. Surely they'll be gone in about 100 years or so. Who cares if it's made it through a couple thousand. So, there it is. It's beautiful, isn't it? Look, it's Billy Joel. No, not really. Sorry, this is a Coupe de Garde from Egypt of like 6th or 7th century, something like that. I really like this statue. It's a seated scribe, and it's like 3,000 years old. But it's just moving somehow. The guide points out that the head and the two knees make an equilateral triangle. So you're supposed to stand directly in front, but there's a tourist there.